Alhamdulillah, this is a yang kali ke-6 ya kita anjurkan MS Ipoh Symposium, dan kali ini kita bertemakan hip hop, dan pagi ini kita ada seorang tokoh lah yang tak asing lagi, tokoh yang antara the pioneers of hip hop Malaysia, iaitu Datuk Abdullah. Saya introduce sikit Datuk Abdullah. Seorang tidak asing lagi dalam sektor media dan hiburan Malaysia, dengan kejayaan beliau menjangkau lebih 30 tahun. Dan sebelum ini beliau merupakan seorang pioneer juga di Astro, memulakan perjalanan beliau tahun 1996 sebagai pengarah atau penyiaran muzik di Hits FM, dan beliau menjadi seorang ketua pegawai eksekutif pada 2013. Dan I Am For You ya, Datuk ya. I Am For You beliau merupakan seorang pegawai eksekutif dari tahun 2012-2013 yang melaporkan direct kepada Prime Minister masa itu ya. Dan juga menjadi tunjang kepada kemenangan ya Datuk ya, kemenangan PRU 13 masa itu. Dan beliau juga merupakan seorang yang memenangi banyak anugerah di Indonesia dan India, dan bersama-sama berkhidmat sebagai ahli lembaga untuk ADRAP, menyelia operasi radio China Astro. Dan beliau juga merupakan seorang ketua pegawai eksekutif Astro Radio dan mengetuai Rocket Fuel Entertainment yang dimiliki oleh Astro. Dan kemudian beliau bersama Faith Malaysia sebagai pengarah urusan, dan keupayaannya untuk mengemudi pelbagai industri daripada penyiaran, pemasaran dan kerajaan dengan dikaitkan dengan fintech. Dan beliau selepas itu berkhidmat di media prima audio. Datuk Ybhg menunjukkan kepintarannya sebagai seorang yang boleh overturn a company, yang boleh memulihkan syarikat, dan daripada kerugian hingga keuntungan. Kehebatan beliau di dalam bidang pengurusan. Dan beliau juga merupakan seorang pioneer di dalam bidang teknologi dan inovasi, especially AI ya. Kami bersembang dari tentang AI, banyak ilmu AI, dan he's one of the pioneers in AI in this country. Master prompter. We talk about bagaimana AI boleh create music ya. You boleh buat slides dalam masa 10 minit, 1 hour, yang will take months. Dan kami berbincang tentang bagaimana we can produce music menggunakan AI. Dan beliau merupakan seorang pioneer dalam bidang ni, dan hopefully kita boleh belajar lagi lebih banyak after this ya. Dan sekarang ni beliau berkhidmat sebagai penasihat strategi di media prima audio sejak tahun 2021, dan beliau juga memegang MBA daripada Liverpool University, dan sekarang saya difahamkan sedang melanjutkan pelajaran di bidang PhD insyaAllah di UUM. Dan beliau juga seorang yang passionate tentang education. Kami pun berbincang tentang education. Beliau sanggup membantu generasi muda dalam bidang education, dan telah dilantik sebagai Profesor Ejang di UNITA dan Taylor's University Kuala Lumpur. Beliau juga merupakan lembaga penasihat industri untuk UCSI University, dan juga komunikasi strategik di College Pertahanan Nasional, dan secara aktif menjalankan latihan untuk syarikat-syarikat korporat mengenai kepimpinan, pemasaran dan pelibatan AI. Dan beliau juga ada buku menerbitkan buku iaitu Book of Ybhg, Simple Rules for Living Your Best Life, yang diterbitkan tahun lepas ya Datuk ya, 2023 Disember 19. Dan dengan tidak melengahkan masa, saya ingin menjemput Datuk Abdullah untuk menyampaikan ucaptama beliau. Silakan.
Assalamualaikum. How are you guys doing? It's a long time since I spoke Malay actually. It's not that I can't speak, so I'll try speaking Malay. Last time I spoke to Malay, I worked for the government, so minta maaf lah kan. So bukan tak boleh cakap, memang boleh cakap, tapi kita fikir kadang-kadang hip hop in English, so it's very hard to come out Malay. Anyway, before I start, this is a journey of hip hop that it started a long time ago. Okay, so that's the first slide. So terlebih dahulu saya ingin menyatakan rasa syukur kan. Thank you for having me here. Menghargaan kepada everybody from Port. Simposium hip hop ini bukan sekadar satu acara. I'm very impressed because Kuala Lumpur pun kita tak buat benda-benda macam ni kan. So it's so impressive that Ipoh. Sebenarnya bapa I orang Ipoh. buntung. So, you know, a dangerous place lah. Orang cakap buntung je, itu tempat gangster kan. So anyway, so what's important is selain daripada acara ini, simposium ini juga adalah platform untuk kita merenung masa lalu. Hip hop started 50 years ago, maybe 53 years ago. Started in 1973. So why is hip hop important? Can I have the shirt? So why is hip hop important? Hip hop sudah berusia 50 years kan? So last year, 1973, 2023 was 50 years. Hip hop kini bukan sekadar satu genre music. It is actually a culture. You know, it's a culture that can unite people. Satu genre music yang merupakan satu gerakan budaya yang besar. Hip hop telah berkembang dari pesta jalanan di Bronx, New York, dan menjadi fenomena global yang merangkumi bukan saja muzik, tapi dari berbagai sudut seperti grafiti, tarian, fashion, gaya hidup, dan juga political. Hip hop has become a political voice. You know? So budaya ini bukan saja dengan mengubah landscape seni, tapi juga memberi kesan besar kepada sosial dan ekonomi di seluruhnya. Can you play the video? So I'll start off with the press next. Yeah. Okay.
They didn't expect anything from us. That's what made this come up so much sweeter. No one ever saw it coming. This little thing of ours, sharpened and refined in parks and in project staircases, has grown much bigger than the NYC blocks it was birthed on. And now, hip-hop is turning 50 in 2023. Can you believe that? Hip-hop 50 will be the definitive, all-encompassing look at an everlasting movement that will outlive us all.
Dia merangkumi music, fashion, seni visual, film, political dan pengiklanan. Namun di Malaysia kita menghadapi cabaran dalam memberi sokongan yang sewajarnya kepada industri ini. Bakat hip-hop tempatan tidak mendapat peluang dan platform yang cukupnya untuk berkembang seperti artis-artis antarabangsa. Kalau you bawa kereta nak kat KL kan, you see all the boards. It's all Korean. I have to ask myself, why aren't our local people supporting our own people? Kenapa kita tidak boleh, paparkan artis-artis tempatan? Kenapa kita sangat terpegun dengan artis Korea? Bukan mereka tak bagus, tapi we have to support our own people. There has to be some clause by the government to give a tax break for inducing this growth. Walaupun kerajaan tidak boleh sokong daripada segi that way, they have to give some kind of tax break or clause. Important for the growth of hip hop because it is an industry. If you're talking about money, talk about South Korea. Banyak syarikat Malaysia sekarang seperti you can see lah some of these water filters and all that. It's just a K-pop. In fact, in Netflix, top 10 movies, top 6 are Korean movies. So we are growing. Kita kipas orang lain untuk lebih naik. But we are dropping our own people, which is so sad. It's not we are so not talented. There's so much talent. There's so much talent. If you talk about Malaysia, syarikat kita perlu, terbuka dan memberi peluang kepada artis tempatan. Artis hip hop Malaysia mampu mencipta nama di peringkat antarabangsa. I have seen so many. The first time I saw Poetic Emo, I got shocked. I think it was Ahmad Izam who signed. No, was it Positive Tone? You signed, yeah. And I was shocked. I was actually shocked with the artists that was coming out of that period. They were so ahead of their time. Malangnya kita tidak dapat, the support from the government. K-pop sekarang menjadi satu fenomena global. It's everywhere. K-pop artists can walk into the White House. K-pop artists are used as leveraging marketing tool untuk the whole industry. So Korea Selatan menawan dunia. Unfortunately, Parasite can win a an Academy Award. And it's not that yang tak bagus. Saya rasa kita pun we have that ability. Malangnya we don't have the support. So in my eyes, Korea Selatan, if you study Korea Selatan, it is all because of the government's input and impetus into growing that industry. It was a very concerted effort. Mereka telah membuktikan bahawa industri muzik dapat menjadi alat yang berkuasa dalam membentuk identiti nasional dan meningkatkan kehadiran global melalui strategi yang jelas dan tersusun. K-pop telah menjadi fenomena. Bukan saja K-pop, jenama Samsung, all their brands was tactically done by the government to drive economy. If you go back 50 years to South Korea, the music was dead. There was no arts. There was a prohibition. They could not travel abroad. In the 60s, it changed. Festivals seperti K-Con, they have created to induce new economy into the country. Kenapakah kerajaan kita tidak, try to stimulate those kind of events? Eventually, insyaAllah akan ada. But it is not sekadar industry creative. It is about building a whole economy. And this is where we are losing out, Maybe Datuk Ahmad can help us because he's been in the industry for so long, and we need people there like why we need you as a YB somewhere, probably like YB Ahmad. And anyway, we are talking about this festival. To me, what is really important is we need to create a Malaysian hip hop festival or a music festival which will bring in foreign impetus, foreign economy, foreign pelaburan daripada luar negara. This is really important, like Coachella. The problem is we are all afraid of feedback. If Thailand can do it, if Indonesia can do it, if Singapore can do it, we can do it also. We are more talented. We have better roti canai anyway. And I'm sure you'll know, before they claim it, Next slide, please. So again, like I said, it is up to the kerajaan mungkin memberi daripada in terms of grants, in terms of tax refunds, rebates to the GLCs, rebates to the huge companies to help the industry. Otherwise, with a population of 34 million, we cannot do it. I worked in Indonesia. In Indonesia, average dangdut artist outsells everybody. The number one act in Indonesia was a dangdut artist. The number one radio station was a dangdut radio station. In other words, mereka memberi support kepada music diorang. They are supporting their own kind. Unfortunately, we don't have the numbers to support our industry. So we have to compete globally. To compete globally, now it's a double-edged sword. To compete globally, we cannot compete without the help of our government. The government must see this. And I'm saying this very clearly because the government only supports the artist when the artist is famous. Then everybody wants the artist to selfie with the artist. So I hope somebody is actually hearing me and taking some notes, and inshallah, there is a clear direction to support local artists. Like Aswara is a great place to start. I feel there are academies that can start. I feel, hip hop needs to be taken as an international endeavor, menjadi satu business. We have to look at it as a business. Okay. So next slide, please. So we're talking about Korean, how they captured the world. Next slide, please. The next slide.
This is Blackpink, the first K-pop group to headline at Coachella. You also probably heard of the band BTS, the TV show Squid Games, and the movie Parasite. That's because they are all part of the Korean wave, the growing popularity of the Korean pop culture at the global stage. What if I told you that the Korean wave hasn't happened by accident, and that it was a deliberate plan driven and funded by the Korean government that started in the late 1990s? 30 years ago, Korea was very different. It had travel bans, censorship, and the music of the time sounded more like this. To understand how Korea went from censorship to the Korean wave, to Parasite winning an Oscar, and BTS becoming the first band since the Beatles to have 3 #1 hits on Billboard, we need to go back a few years after the Korean War. This is the story of K-pop. At the end of World War II, Korea was divided into 2 zones of occupation. The Soviet administered the northern half, and the American administered the southern half. After the war, the Korean government was concerned that Koreans would travel abroad would get attracted to communist ideologies, so they decided to set a travel ban. They didn't want Korean tourists to get crazy ideas abroad, so they kinda closed down the country. And it was kinda a little bit more complicated than that, since there was some economic factors involved. But stay with me, you'll see how that all relates to K-pop and K-drama. So until the mid-1980s, it was very difficult for Koreans to travel abroad. To travel, you will have to pay a steep tourism deposit worth about 2 million Korean won, and if you were over the age of 50, you had a higher chance of getting travel visas. This is why most of the Koreans who went abroad at the time were CEOs and corporate executives, usually known as pillars of industries. In February 1988, this guy became Korea president. This is Roh Tae-woo. His government set out to eliminate past vestiges of authoritarian rule, revising laws and decrees to fit democratic provisions. Freedom of the press was expanded, university autonomy recognized, and restriction on overseas travels were lifted. Shortly after his inauguration, the Seoul Olympic took place. After the game, the Korean government finally recognized the importance of culture in an era of globalization. Then, Roh Tae-woo was succeeded by this guy. This is Kim Yong-sam, who became president in 1992. After taking office, his administration proposed a 5-year plan for cultural development. They also launched Segewa globalization policy. This shift toward globalization planted the seed for the rise of Hallyu, or Korean wave. Following a long period of military dictatorship in South Korea, these changes opened up liberal expression and encouraged creativity. Then when in 1997, Asia faced a financial crisis, South Korea decided to invest on the export of popular media culture as a new economic initiative. Now things are slowly starting to connect. It's during that time that South Korea pop group Seo Taiji and Boys debuted and marked the debut of modern K-pop. During that time, the government still wanted to spread the Korean culture internationally, so they made 2 key decisions that helped spread the culture. They turned to K-drama, which became a hit in neighbor countries like Japan and China. During that time, several Korean television dramas were broadcasted in China. While in the US, thanks to the lift on travel bans, the promotion of Korean pop culture started with Korean American and students studying abroad. With that, the Korean wave developed into the foreign diplomacy of South Korea. Today, South Korea wants the world to learn Korean with K-pop. If more people are speaking Korean, the thinking goes that can only be good for business, economy, and national prestige. The Korean Culture Ministry is even working with international universities to produce Korean language educational courses, such as Learn Korean with BTS. It is not just BTS, but also the entire Korean entertainment industry as a whole that is contributing to Korea's soft power. And this is how K-pop took over the world, and this is why now you are seeing all these Korean TV drama on Netflix and Hulu. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I see you guys on the next one.
So, Korea Selatan telah membuktikan bahawa industri muzik dapat menjadi alat yang berkuasa dalam membentuk identiti nasional. So, it was so clear. So, with the strategy yang jelas dan tersusun, K-pop telah menjadi fenomena dunia, membawa keuntungan more than 1.5 billion was spent by the government. The returns was times 100. So, this is a long-term policy that they ventured into. So the Korean wave was actually planned. It was not something that just happened. It was a strategy by the government to develop Korea. And that's why they are standing in front of the world, owning everything now. That's why your daughters are all very crazy about Korean artists, and everybody's doing that. It's because of Korea. It's so subliminal that it worked. Okay, so what can Malaysia do? Malaysia dapat belajar daripada kejayaan ini dengan mengikut langkah-langkah tertentu untuk memajukan hip hop sebagai alat untuk membangunkan identiti nasional. So this festival to me can be the catalyst to start something that is going to get people to think. This is such an important thing. So probably this Ipoh festival could be the initiative that starts it. So next slide, please. So next slide, thank you. Okay, so how do we actually do this? One of the ways that I feel that we should work is collaboration, and you all have seen collaboration works over and over. It started so long ago. Like South Africa did Nasty C with T-Pain. In Coachella, there is lots of artists that collaborate. I know Pop Shavit collaborated with so many artists, but we don't call them hip hop, we call them rap rock or something like that. Anyway, coming back to hip hop, there is so much possibilities that we can do through collaboration. One of them is Punjabi MC, who did with Jay-Z. It was phenomenal. That song is so memorable. It's still a banger. So hip hop is another way to go. Next slide, please. And I'm sure you all heard of this guy, Hanuman Khan. That song, Big Dog, took over the world. Not only his music, but every reel, every Insta, this one, uses this song and he gets paid. Why? Because it's different. He's from Kerala. He studied in US. Tetapi oleh kerana caranya lain, what he did was, the way he raps is American, but he projected a very Indian image using a very familiar place in Kerala, and the song blew up. So this is something that can be done, I was asked this question, haruskah hip-hop Malaysia ada unsur Malay, Indian and Chinese? I don't think so. You just have to be yourself and be authentic. Like the hip-hop in Thailand, I know the Thai groups, they are music mereka unsur barat tapi mereka rap dalam bahasa diorang sendiri. So there is another way of actually to develop it. Pitbull is rapping in his own language, but we're accepting it. Why can't we do it? So this is another way of us actually doing it. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is my investment into the company. A long time ago when I was in HITS, I started the Malaysian English Top 10 to push Malaysian music. I left and then it just died. About 3 weeks ago, I made a call. I said, this is to help the English music because Malay music, there is a lot of avenue, kan? Ada Radio Hot, Surya, Era is helping. But Malaysian English hip-hop and music doesn't have a portal. So Fly FM now plays 25% Malaysian music, moving into 50% in the next 5 years. This is a commitment by a radio station which has the guts to do this. And how? Because I remember pada tahun 1999 sampai 2007, even from Positive Tone when you all were pressing local music, I remember HITS was actually pushing bands like Disagree, John's Mistress, Pop Shavit, Teh Tarik Crew and all that. Tiba-tiba, band-band tu semua hilang. Daripada 2015 sampai sekarang, there is no avenue for these bands to come out. So suddenly, there's an economic glitch. The same, and bukan maksudnya dia orang tak talented. There's the same people you'll see. You'll see Joe Flizzo, you'll see Sona One, you'll see the same people. Bukan mereka tak berbakat, sangat berbakat. Tapi kita perlukan artis yang baru, nafas yang baru, darah yang baru. We need new people. So this is sokongan daripada Media Prima Audio to make sure that in the next 5 years, this English station plays 50% local music. And this to me is phenomenal. Nobody has got the guts to do it. But we have to invest in our own people. Okay, next slide, please. So to me, this is one of the ways that we are going to develop it, because I believe hip-hop breaks into many, many aspects of the economy. And we can do it if we have a concerted effort. Next slide, please. So to me, one of my favorite hip-hop all-timers is Kiara's one. Can you play it, please? Have a listen.
When you look at breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJing, the core 4 elements of hip-hop, these are also human skills. Breaking is dance. Dance is at the beginning of human consciousness. MCing, rhythmically speaking in spoken word, the beginning of human consciousness. Graffiti art, the oldest form of human calligraphy, is still called graffiti art to this day. DJing. Our DJing is not technology or the turntable itself. It's what human beings do to technology that we call cutting, mixing, and scratching. And keep in mind, scratching, okay, there's no G on that. The scratching is a new word in the English language. cutting is not cutting. It's specifically applied to what we do to phonograph records, CDs, and other recorded material. So hip hop lasts or has lasted for so long because first of all, it's embedded in the human psyche and biology. In fact, I don't even think you can be human without hip hop because everyone has an urge to do art, dance, sing, speak, manipulate the environment around them. This is human consciousness.
Pada pendapat saya, simposium ini adalah langkah pertama ke arah itu. Ipoh yang menganjurkan simposium ini telah meletakkan dirinya di peta nasional today. I've never thought that Ipoh will do this. Ipoh is a grunge state. They like rock music instead. Suddenly, you know what I mean? Ipoh has always been grunge. So when you said hip-hop di Ipoh, I said, I'm coming. So it's really interesting. Saya yakin bahawa bandar ini mempunyai potensi. Sebab this place, Ipoh, it's just got a different vibe. It's not pretentious, but it's what hip-hop is actually all about. They don't care about KL. Ipoh is so Ipoh, and that's what hip-hop is all about. It's its own identity, and you have to accept it eventually. So, saya berharap kita akan lihat lebih banyak kumpulan hip-hop, rapper, penulis lirik, come out from this symposium. Next slide, please. So, we're talking about the next generation. So, hip-hop mempunyai kuasa untuk mengubah minda dan memberi inspirasi kepada generasi muda. Lirik hip-hop seringkali membawa mesej yang kuat tentang ketabahan, harapan, perubahan. In fact, rap is probably the way messages were passed on for decades. The original poetry is actually rap, rap on rhythm, Jay-Z has said it, hip-hop has done more for racial relations than most cultural icons, which is the truth. If you talk about hip-hop, the evolution of hip-hop, the fashion of hip-hop, it has done for more. But we have to push it from Malaysia also. What about Malaysian true hip-hop? There is a possibility. So, next slide, please. So, to me, to end, these are my thoughts of the future. Sebagai langkah ke hadapan, saya ingin menyarankan beberapa tindakan yang perlu diambil. Pertama, kita perlu memastikan bahawa lebih banyak dana dan sokongan. This is important. Without money, nothing can be done. Dana dan sokongan daripada kerajaan dan sektor swasta diberikan kepada industri hip-hop. Ini termasuk memudahkan kolaborasi antara artis tempatan dan jenama besar. Like Kowe, like the Samsungs, like the, Siti Khatijah. I'm saying this, the Malaysian, why not? Kedua, kita perlu mempromosikan pendidikan dalam hip-hop. Hip-hop is actually education. Graffiti, there is bukan sekadar ambil tin dan paint. No, it's education. It's actually art. There has to be a structured way of actually driving this education. Ketiga, menggunakan platform seperti simposium ini untuk menggalakkan pertukaran idea dan collaboration antara artis, penggiat industri dan peminat. Dengan cara ini, kita dapat memastikan bahawa hip-hop Malaysia terus berkembang, insyaAllah, dan mendapat pengiktirafan sewajarnya di peringkat global. So, to end, a couple of things. All these things will not be possible if we don't work together. I hope this symposium is not the start and the end here. It needs to be the start and carrying on. I hope that you all take my number, take my contact. I hope that I get your number, I get your contact, and we contact each other to grow. Because mungkin kita we cannot visualize what happens next. But the next generation of artists will be able to reap the benefits of this symposium. And one day, 10 years down the road, you can sit down here and say, you know what? It started in Ipoh. And that is so important, So I thank you for having me. Terima kasih kerana, you invited me. And insyaAllah that I'll get to know all of you all a bit better. Assalamualaikum. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Okay, terima kasih diucapkan kepada Datuk Ybhg. Kesimpulan yang kita boleh dapat daripada Ucaptama tadi, hip hop sudah 50 tahun Datuk bermula di Bronx dan Datuk sendiri merupakan pioneer, merupakan start DJing pada tahun 1980 dan itu crash course kumpulan crash course dan ramai lagi yang dianggap sebagai black music. Masa tu hip hop tak ada lagi belum lagi
Tapi kita tak tahu yang nama dia.
hip hop okay. Macam semalam it's all about mimicking about meniru dan hip hop merupakan satu pendorong ekonomi besar di US 15 bilion dan untuk mengembangkan industri muzik hip hop di Malaysia ni kita perlukan dorongan daripada kerajaan untuk mengembang untuk not just hip hop but the overall industry Datuk dan kita mengambil contoh daripada K-pop K-pop ni adalah satu perancangan kerajaan. It's not just out of nowhere. Dirancang, very structured. Dan from education, daripada media dia, daripada semua. Dan I have seen how they practice like hell. Di dalam, maknanya artis-artis ni bukan, dia dilatih, betul-betul dilatih dan ada dia punya pelatih. Ni,
So you made a very good point there because, and I think it's very important to remember this. I've worked with some Korean bands when I was running with Rocket Fuel. Their attention to detail is second to none. Their timing is almost perfect. If you say 9 o'clock, they're there at 8:50. This is something that we need to embrace.
Yeah.
You know? So for us to be at that level, the difference of becoming great suddenly becomes very small.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to work really extra. And if we can embrace that kind of work culture, insyaAllah kita boleh sampai ke tahap tu.
And I've seen also, diorang hantar ramai artis dan composer, musicians overseas untuk belajar. And diorang ni balik and then diorang ni help dari segi industri filming dan semua.
Tapi diorang balik, kalau orang kita hantar, diorang tak balik.
Ya, dia balik to seven nation.
Sorry
Ya. Okay, dan ini terbukti dengan kejayaan mereka. Macam tadi Datuk Cik cakap, kemenangan dalam Oscar, berjaya menang Oscar, Parasite, and dan juga top 10, Billboard top 10 since the Beatles, BTS. Anak saya pun gila BTS. Okay, dan salah satu suggestion Datuk Cik tadi adalah berkenaan dengan mengadakan festival hip hop, mengadakan simposium sebegini dan juga mungkin saranan daripada untuk kerajaan membantu dalam segi tax breaks dan sebagainya. Dan kolaborasi satu lagi kolaborasi dengan artis-artis luar. Sebagai contoh tadi artis daripada India dan saya baru balik Indonesia pada Datuk. Saya dengar cerita Ahmad Dhani daripada dia di-appoint oleh kerajaan menjadi advisor kepada industri. Dia pangkat dia lebih tinggi daripada menteri. Dia dengan Once penyanyi. So mereka sekarang ni dalam Parlimen Indonesia baru minggu lepas saya salah dia. Dan that shows how serious they are dalam untuk membantu industri. They take the people from the industry masuk dalam Parlimen dan advise the government. Dan mereka betul-betul serious. So dan diharap dan kerajaan Malaysia pun boleh bantu Datuk Dan satu lagi adalah tentang Fly FM, playing 25%.
Yes, we just started 25%. The goal is to hit 50% by 5 years, and this is a promise. If you can count now, we'll get to 25-28% already.
Wow.
So this to me is a big step. It's a big step because suddenly these days, cara kita membuat music. Tak perlu studio and all that. There are a lot of bedroom producers coming out and all that. Of course, you've got to go to JD to master the tracks and stuff like that. But the thing is that it's accessible. Now we have the tools, we have the industry, we have the technology. So there is no reason why we cannot. But kita boleh buat sekadar itu saja. Kita boleh main lagu tu. But the economy of the music suddenly now is very questionable. What do they do? How do they monetize it? Mereka pun perlu makan. You know, so how do they monetize it? So my view, if we play 50%, artis ini akan jadi terkenal. InsyaAllah dia akan dapat show, dia akan dapat tour, they can sell merchandise. But there's only 34 million people in Malaysia.
The wallet size remains the same. We have to globalize it. There is no other way than globalizing our talent. If it was possible, do you know how talented Sheila Majid is? I was there when Zainal recorded Hijau in the studio with Ruslan Aziz. I was sitting there as a little boy and watching. These people are so talented, but we've only got 30 million, 34 million. How can we support the economy? We can't,
Yeah. So basically kerajaan
Kerajaan,
kita perlukan
and we need a
sokongan.
concerted effort like the Hallyu. I think Malaysia is so talented, so talented. Look at how manufactured the Koreans are.
Yeah.
We are so talented. I heard this Malay boy, I digress again. This Malay boy sing one song called Macang or something, Yenada Macang. I'm sure you all know. That song got like 15 million views on TikTok. It was accepted by the Malay community. Can you imagine if we put him on an Indian scale, 1% of the total India subscribes to it, it's all over. But there needs to be some kind of focus.
Nama dia Khan something.
Zubir Khan.
Zubir Khan, yes. Okay, so maknanya perlukan bantuan semua pihak lah, the government, the swasta untuk membantu, dan this symposium is one way lah, to nurture new talents, di harapan Datuk, dan the ultimate is kalau kita boleh go global lah, macam Korea, so this is a good start. So itu maknanya dengan harapan ini kita dapat membina generasi. Maybe education is another thing,
Yes,
education. Dan with technology, with the talent that we have, saya rasa kita boleh pergi jauh, InsyaAllah. So maybe kita one question ku ada from the audience, Adil.
Do you want to borrow my mic?
Assalamualaikum, Datuk. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Adil from University Malaya. I
remember you from your card. Your card, you had your photo.
Former skate. So Datuk, thank you so much. You mentioned rocket fuel.
Yes.
And I'm very curious about 16 baris. And I know that you were...
we conceptualize it,
So can you maybe ceritakan sikit tentang 16 baris? What was the idea behind that?
It was not mine. I cannot take credit for it.
Okay.
It was Yanis and Joe who came and pitched it to us. So
great.
it was that. But we gave them a platform to do it. I just thought the 16 bars and baris worked together. But there is more that can be done. We were actually thinking about taking 16 baris, that concept, and taking it across Asia. That was missed out, and then we left rocket fuel. So there was a missed opportunity, because hip hop is easily translated into any language. A beat, the syncopation of the beat, the groove of the beat, people will move. If you listen to Bhangra music, there is no way you cannot move. It's infectious. So hip hop has that ability. Walaupun diorang rap in Vietnamese, but if the beat is, it gets you. So 16 baris was an ability for normal people to come and rap 16 bars and be discovered. So I thought it was phenomenal. When we heard Joe and Yanis pitch this, we thought it was phenomenal. So it was not my idea. I can't take credit for it at all. But we just did the first 16 bars. In fact, it's still going on. But what next?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, taking your business mind and what you're suggesting today, what would be the scale up of 16 baris that would be able to put Malaysian hip hop on a more global scale? If you had all the resources, government funding, what would you do? Something along those lines.
Everything is there. It's collaboration. We take collaboration. You see, the problem with Malaysia is we are our natural DNA is we are very meek people. We are very nice people. We are very subservient. Because we were colonized, and I don't mean this in any disrespect. We were colonized. If the Salih say, bagus, then we will say bagus. So we should use that as an advantage. We should use that as an advantage. Find somebody who is a sort of a good in hip hop, authority in hip hop. Put them on the 16 baris, this one, probably, somebody from NWA or that group Public Enemy and you put it there, suddenly the world recognition comes back because these people are authorities of hip hop. if you put M. Nasir and all that, with all due respect, but they don't speak to the world. You have to use that. So 16 baris should have these people taking it there. See, so that would be my thoughts. Second thing is, there needs to be private sector investment. There is tax breaks. There is tax breaks. Whereas everybody is so into ESG and carbon rating and all, which is great. But the economy needs to grow. With 34 million, we cannot grow this economy. We have to tap into Indonesia. How far have you tried, Izam? Come on, from Indonesia. It's so tough. How many Malaysian artists have gone to Indonesia from Sheila Majid to, how hard has it been? It's not that we are not talented. It's that the impetus is wrong. So there is a perfect chance right now with the availability of democratized social feeding. People are picking things up like that. If you have an artist, ask the government to buy, to buy spots, to really push it. Visit Malaysia year is 2025. Perfect opportunity. But yes, I really like 16 baris, but it stopped. Yeah, thanks. Any other question? I'll take one. No? Yes.
Hi, Datuk.
Yes.
My name is Nick Jasmine Yu. I'll be talking later as well. I just want to ask you, when Crash Course first started, going back all those years ago, you all came up with the mixtape Pump It Up, 1989.
Yes.
That was the very first recording of hip hop in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, at that time, you all were in the clubs and you all were using it for your work technically,
Yes.
right? So how big did it grow?
Okay, so I don't know the actual numbers, but everybody I knew had that CD. So had that tape. But you must understand, these are the times where they didn't have social media. It didn't exist. We didn't even have internet. We didn't have this. So we physically peddled our CDs in every club. We performed 172 shows in 1 year. 3 of us. It was every time we were going out and we were rapping. I didn't even know that this was a way you can make money. I was very surprised. I said, they're paying me to talk, man. This is good news, And that was the start of it. But then, Joe Siva, the late Joe Siva, said in 1988, says, let's do an album. Let's just mix. Let's just mix. And we came out with that mixtape. So that was it. So that was the start. I would say that was the birth. The Crash Course was the name of a band I had in school. I said, let's call it Crash Course. And that was it. So after that, we broke up. And then there was another reiteration of Arwah Naji and all that. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I have a lot of questions, but I'll speak to you later.
Okay, terima kasih kepada Datuk Ybhg. Boleh tepukan kepada Datuk Ybhg.
Thank you.
Terima kasih, Datuk.